All right, everybody, welcome back to Northeast Racing Happy Hour podcast. I'm Gary. We are officially bringing this show back after a little time off, a little hiatus we had. And I figured we're going to relaunch this thing. We might as well do it the right way with the division I know very well, with racers, real stories, and people who live the Friday and Saturday night grind. So tonight we're going to talk to two street stock racers from the Accord Speedway. It's going to be Preston and Aiden Demorest. So let's pop them on right now. What's up, guys?
What's going on, Gary?
How you doing?
All right, how you guys?
Doing good.
All right.
Rolling along. It's
So this,
another off season.
they're getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, they are.
Absolutely. So I'm just gonna keep going here with this little intro I got, and then we're gonna kick it right off. All right.
Sounds good.
Got it.
So I just want to say about Accord. Uh, for those that don't know Accord Speedway, it's one of the toughest and tightest, most intense little racetracks around the Northeast. And I got these two guys, perfect guests to kick this show back off. Like I said, I got Aiden and Preston Demorest. So let's get right to it. I'm glad to have you guys on. Thank you for taking the time out and kicking this show back off.
Thanks for having us. We're stoked.
We're excited.
I figured I'd bring you guys on. I can relate a little bit, to the street stock world. I've been doing it, so I figured we bring you guys back on and see what we can do here.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely excited.
So so we'll start off. Something maybe people. I did some research on you guys. Like I said, I barely met you guys, maybe once or twice at Accord, so I had to do my own little research on you guys. So I'm just going to give a little rundown for the people that watching that, like me, maybe not know who you guys were and where you guys came from. All right.
Sounds good.
So so it's coming down. So I did research, and your grandfather, he was a longtime racer at the Accord Speedway, and he's actually inducted into the Accord Speedway's Racer Reunion Hall of Fame, if I'm correct, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Right. So long before you guys ever even strapped into a street stock, then the Demarest name was already part of that track's history. So talk a little bit about what it was like growing up in that kind of racing family, hearing those stories about your grandfather and being around the track as kids, and tell everyone a little bit about yourselves, where you started from in racing, if any at all. Floor is yours.
We've been going when we were, toddlers. My uncle raced go-karts at Accord Speedway on Wednesday nights for midweek madness. And we grew up there, really just a massive part of our childhood. Every Friday nights was spent there without question. And I wouldn't have had it any other way. And really, got to thank the Palmer family for making that happen. They put their heart and soul into it year after year, give us somewhere to, spend our Fridays.
Absolutely. Nobody works harder than Gary. I've seen it firsthand. I've been up there. I've announced up there. That guy bust his ass in that place, man. He doesn't get enough credit for what he does for that place.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I feel like especially in these past couple of years, right? Like you start to realize like how special something like Accord Speedway is, right? I mean, we see these tracks going down, and losing races, and it hurts. It hurts to see, and we're lucky to be able to run a full schedule at Accord Speedway, and we grew up there. We don't know anything else than Accord Speedway. That's just our home, and I wouldn't want it any other way. We have a grandpa, like you said, a Hall of Famer, and the guy, he's the brains behind it all. Whatever we do to our cars, that's behind him, and that's just all the history that he has, and he knows the track. He can probably drive around that track better than he can drive down the main road. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember him. He around a long time. But I mean, I raced with David, and years ago, and I remember him being around. That I didn't know that he was even a racer or Hall of Famer at that point. So that was kind of news to me when I did some research on you guys. It's cool.
Yeah, it runs deep.
Yeah, and that's it. So not many people, literally, not many people can say they're carrying on a Hall of Fame legacy. Every Friday night when they strap it in at the racetrack.
Yeah, we it runs my great grandmother was the first powder puff winner at Accord Speedway way back in the day.
Okay.
My great grandfather ran there in the year it opened. And so really from the beginning our family's been around, and my grandfather and his brother George raced late models, sportsman's there.
Okay.
Dave ran pro stock, sportsman's there. And now we're excited to keep the tradition going.
Okay. So you guys don't have no racing history? Like you guys just strapped it into a street stock and away you went?
We actually started when we were younger. We Wednesday Night Madness when Accord Speedway had it. We had a kid cart. We
Okay.
actually ran by ourselves most of the
Okay.
time. Every once in a while, some other carts would show up, but we ran there for a long time. And then actually, we started out in the pro stocks. And
Okay.
Aiden started out upstate and running Glen Ridge and Fonda, and you know, running a class like that up there, that's very competitive. That's very competitive racing, and if anyone knows anything about the pro stock class, they got pricey, so it
Right.
got tough to run that. And, we, for our last year of pro stocks, that's when I started. I started on our last year of pro stocks, and we raced Bethel, and that kind of fell through. So then we felt like we had to go back home. So we went and got street stocks, and now we're having some fun for sure.
And that's the thing about Accord. For the people that don't know, Accord is its own animal. It's small, fast, tight corners, no room for mistakes up there. It's one of those tracks where if you're a little bit off on the night, you're not finishing fifth, you're finishing 15th. The
Mhm.
track will humble the best drivers real quick up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a tricky track, and that's what I like about it.
Yep.
There's so many little things that go into one lap at Accord Speedway. It's not repetitive racing. Your elbows up the whole time, up on the
Yeah.
wheel. There's no break. Even when you're
Right.
leading a race, you're always fighting traffic. You're fighting. It's nonstop adrenaline, and it's just amazing. You don't get that at a lot of tracks.
That's
It's
right. And it
that's what
doesn't
makes it
matter if
exciting.
you're first or last, man. You're racing your ass off. You're racing somebody. Somebody's giving you the door, the bumper, or
Yeah.
something, man. That's what makes it, what it is. And coming from you guys that race there, what do you think makes Accord so tough and so unique?
Well, it's one of the last quarter mile tracks around. I think Glen Ridge and Afton are
Yep.
probably the three of them that are still operating. A lot of them are 3/8, half, 5/8 miles,
Right.
which are cool. A lot of speed. That's always cool. But there's something tricky about a little more finesse than blowing money out the exhaust.
Yeah, and that's you speak of Glen Ridge. I've raced there, and that is a bad fast racetrack for what it is. That
Yeah,
place is really fast, really
yeah,
cool really cool place, but super fast for a quarter mile.
yeah. That back stretch with the little dog leg in it, you really let her yell.
Oh yeah, no, that's a whole different that's a whole different animal up there. Yeah, and with your situation, interesting that you're just not just racing the field. You guys are brothers. You're at it. Every week. Racing against each other. What's it like lining up next to your own brother? On a restart. Do you try to be nice to him, or is it the gloves off and it's
Yeah.
for bragging rights for the rest of the week? Till you guys do it again the following Friday. What's it like there?
We've had our moments for sure. I mean, we've come together. Nothing's ever been taken personal though. I mean, when I line up alongside Aiden, that you're just gonna get the best driver. You know what I mean? Like the best version of me in a race car is what you're gonna get because
Yep.
I don't want to lose to him either. So but I feel like when I race against Aiden, he he's one of the fastest cars there, every week. And I
Yep.
think we saw that more and more in the 2025 season as so it is cool to be in the same garage as him and line up against him, and you're trying to beat the guy. I mean he's leading every race, and So I love racing against Aiden. I think racing against my brother, it's some of the best, cleanest racing I've ever done. Even if it's just in hot laps, we have a blast doing it. I mean, there's been times where I got into him this year once pretty good, and the favor's been returned. So it happens. We race each other like we're regular racers out there, but we love each other off the track. So
I've
Yeah.
dored the crap out of him for one spot. I won't think twice.
Absolutely. That's what I mean. I mean, coming out for the win, are you taking him out?
100%.
dumping
He's
him.
going around.
I'm dumping him.
Right? Yeah. No, man. That's cool. That's a cool, aspect of being able to do that.
Oh yeah. There's no love lost though.
No,
And that's all right. Keeps everybody on their toes.
that's it.
So let's get into the street stock racing as a whole. A lot of people think an entry level thing. A lot of fans think street stock very entry level, simple, affordable racing. But the reality is, that division has gotten extremely competitive. These ain't junkyard cars anymore. They're serious race cars, and people are dumping big money into these cars. I mean, some guys probably close 7-10 grand just in the motors, if not more. So tell the people how much work really goes into being competitive in this class. People that think that this is just an entry level. We are blue collar workers, obviously, but just what goes into it to be competitive. Aiden? You won a lot of races at Accord this year.
I mean, I'd say it's trying. There's not a lot of adjustment. I think that's the hardest part. Is at a
Right.
certain point you got to stop looking on what you can do to make the car faster and
Right.
just grip the wheel and go. And I think it's laps and putting a car together that's going to stay together. That's something that we arguably cost us a shot at the championship this year, and just lost. The car broke down too many times.
Yeah.
And that's a
That,
huge part of it, is being able to. You might be fast, but are you going to stand the whole race?
right. And that was the thing up there a few times. You won a lot of races, and what you finished second in the points, right?
Second in the points.
Yeah, just you credit that has to be to attrition. Bad
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, there was 4 races where we were leading and something went wrong.
That's hard.
Blown motors, tires,
That's
a lot
hard.
of tires.
That's heartbreaking. Then.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Weighs on you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the people with the streets that they don't see the late nights in the garage, fixing the damage, chasing stuff, and trying to balance racing with real life. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
At this level, racing is basically a second full time job that you pay, that you pay to have. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
trying to go to work, and then we go to school 2 nights a week. So we're there until 9 o'clock, and it just throw racing in the mix, and it really gets pretty busy really quick.
And that was the thing with me. It's like, you work a 40-hour work week, and then you come home from work, you eat dinner, and you're right back in the garage, and you're out there, it's another 40-hour work week out there,
Yeah.
It's tough.
Gets to be a lot after a while. And especially when you have a bad week at the track, you wonder, why in the world are we doing this?
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's many nights you're coming home questioning, ready just to fly it off into the field somewhere and just leave it. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been there many a
2026
time.
had me feeling that way, just ready to drop it all.
Oh yeah, I mean, people that know me, shit, I'd have a bad night and I'd put it up for sale the next morning. You know what I mean? Just
I've seen the ads. I've seen them.
right. It just gets frustrating, and it just
Yeah.
gets to a point and you think you're doing everything you can, and then you get guys that are just whooping your ass every week. It's like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah, no doubt. It gets expensive. It's tough to get a street stock rolling anymore. It is hard. It's not easy thing to fund, and if you don't have the right backing, it's going to be very hard. Like me and Aiden are very fortunate. We have a like we just talked about. We have a family that's just dedicated to it. You know, we have a family that backs us on it, and you know, we have a lot of history in the shop, so we got a lot of parts. You know, and
That's
we have a
right.
lot of access to things, and that really helps. So having the foundation already built for us, you know, if that wasn't there, I couldn't say I'd be racing. You know,
That's
like
right.
that's really where it leads you to is I don't know if I'd be racing if we didn't come into a foundation of racing already, you know, because
Right.
we have a lot of stuff. We've had cars, you know, so once you get, you know, your car rolling and stuff, then you got something, then you got a piece and you have something to work with off of that. But it's not always easy getting to that point. You know, it's very hard.
Right. And that's why a lot of guys give up. You know, it just
Right.
gets to be too much, and you know, it's tough. So a question I have to ask at Accord, you know, you guys being fairly, you know, competitive up there, how much of being fast is driver, and how much is the car?
I'm gonna I'm gonna say a lot of it is driver at Accord, and that's what I like about it. You know, I mean, no doubt you get a hooked up car, like you said. If you're on that night, there's a good chance you're gonna win. Next week you might be off and you're gonna finish last. Like that, that's a part of it. And you know, and it's tough to pass there. And so if you're a good driver, you're gonna find your way through. And you know, I like Accord the most, especially for street stocks, because the money doesn't come into play. You know, you don't need that big motor to get around that track. You could go take your little motor and you could get around that track just fine. You know, so it
Right.
really comes down to, you know, the driver, I feel like, more than the car. I mean, no doubt you got to have decent equipment to keep up with, you know, some of these guys. You know, you got to have a good motor. Like, you know, my motor started going down, and you know, you do start losing a little streetway speed here and there, you know, coming off the turns, you know, so that kind of stuff. Yeah, but a lot of it is driver at Accord for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a
That's
lot of
what.
great ones out there. Was it's you know there's a lot of experience there in that class. Guys, I grew up watching racing, and now you're lined
Yeah.
up with them door to door every week, and a little intimidating at times.
Oh, absolutely. It said it's come a long way. The competitiveness of it, you know, and that's the thing. It's they're not junkyard cars no more. Back in the day, people, you know, the parts, and I mean, I'm sure you can still get parts at the junkyard, but you know, they're not doing that no more. You
No,
know,
it's
this is all good stuff. You know, big money going into these cars. It's a long ways from what it was years ago.
Yeah.
definitely it's not. You can't go and find five Monte Carlos in the junkyard anymore. They're just not there. You're going
That's right.
going into the catalog and you're buying parts.
Yeah,
There's a hell of
absolutely.
a cost difference there.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing, like, it gets, you see some of these guys that's been doing it a long time, like you get like the Ray Tarantinos of the world, you know. Then you get yourself, you got young guys coming up there, and like, what is it that, yeah, I guess you would say these guys slowing down, or are they losing the grasp on like the innovations and things that are coming into the game? You know, because you see a lot of these older guys that are falling back, and it's the new guys that are just coming in that actually are doing very well. You know, what attributes to that, you think?
I just think, you know, this happens, right? I mean, this is what happens, and I think it's starting to happen now. You know, it's pretty cool, you know, like running with someone like Wayne Taylor and Ray Tarantino. Guys have been doing it forever, you know, for a very long time, and being able
Right,
to run side by side with them is awesome. You know, that is really cool, and you know, it just it's pretty cool also to look in front of you when you're in the top five, and you also have Aiden and Jaden Slate. You know, that's
right,
pretty cool too. You know, like
yeah,
there's no there's no age like oh he has a lot more experience and he's faster. You know, I think it's a very level playing field. I mean, especially when I watch Aiden and Jaden, I see very smooth drivers. They're you know I think they're not intimidated or nothing. They're out there just doing their thing and they're smooth. And you know sometimes maybe they get out of whack and. But for the most part, they keep it smooth, and I think that's the difference. And I think they're probably the smoothest drivers out there, you know. And they don't miss their marks much, and that's the difference. I feel you know.
yeah. And that's the thing, you know, at Accord being so small, a tenth is a lot over time. You know, a couple of that's a big deal.
Also, it's just a very physical track, and it's a little bit easier being a little bit younger, being able to throw that wheel around.
Yeah,
It's it's compared to the half miles, that quarter mile, you're up on the wheel,
You're
especially
up
in the
on it.
street stock.
Absolutely.
It's a full, 15-minute workout.
Yeah,
No breathing.
yeah, absolutely. You do them, sometimes you're glad them features are only 15 laps, you're
Yeah.
wore the hell out by the time it's over, those things, they're not turning like the modifieds, quick, within quick
Uh-huh.
steering and stuff like that. You are sawing the wheel the whole damn night in those things, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then forget about it if your power steering goes out. Then you,
Yeah, we
That
had
happens.
I wore my ass out for about 15 laps this year
oh,
with no power
brutal.
steering. And then the right rear let go, and that was just devastating. Worked all that for
Work.
nothing.
Yeah, that's tough. That sucks.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the track configurations? I mean, it seems like it has changed past few years. He's been trying to dial it in right. What do you guys? What's your perspective on that?
I definitely like taking the banking away. I think it's opened up a bottom lane for us to run because when our first year there, it was get to the high side at all costs. And I think that becomes very expensive to everybody around when you start beating doors just trying to get to the one lane. And I know for me at least, I found the bottom lane this year, and it was a game changer being able to. And everybody seemed to be able to run the bottom and stay competitive. Maybe not blow by cars on the bottom, but you were able to run down there and stay door to door for a couple laps, waiting for the other guy to make a mistake. But a couple years ago, that was not an option in the street stocks. It was high lane or get out, and so I really like the new configuration, and I know they did some more work on it at the end of the year last year, so I'm really excited to see what it's going to be now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. He's always trying to make changes. He's always trying to make that place pristine, and he's always has the drivers in mind. That's what I love about that place. If you don't think it's right, I've been up in the booth announcing, and he's up there just rattling his brain. Like the
Mm.
guy, it's racing is that track is his life, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt. He puts a lot of hard work into it, and it shows. And they're doing great things, and that's what you like to see when some tracks are going down. It seems that they're going up. Like it seems like they're getting better. We're bringing more cars every week. I mean, there we had some nights this year that we had every bit of 25 street stocks. Like for Accord Speedway, that's a lot of street stocks on that track. That is a
Absolutely.
lot.
Yeah,
And
no doubt.
like widening that track, widening the turns, that opens racing up. No one wants to be glued to the top and run, run a train the whole race. And
Right.
I like touched back before. I think that's where maybe our younger generation is starting to get these older guys because these older guys won't leave the top. They're so used to it. They've been racing that for how many years now? So now when we're dropping them down to the bottom and getting underneath them, it's kind of like like they haven't done that yet since they've raced there. It's been glued to the top for a while, and opening the bottom lane that's a huge game changer for racing, and it's not an easy thing to do on a quarter mile track for street stocks where we're
Right.
momentum. We're not
No,
powering through the
that's right.
turn. We're momentum. So
Yep.
that's tough to do. That's tough to open up a 2 lane track for street stocks.
Right. So now, I mean, obviously, I haven't done it in a while. Now, are you able to get the power off the corner on the bottom like that equally as much? I mean, obviously, on the top, you're keeping that thing wound up.
yeah.
Yeah, the bottom is
Yeah,
equally as
you just got to get your entry and exit right. It's not, you're not going to go in there and let off in the same spot and get back on in the same spot. You're letting off a lot earlier, but you're getting back in it while they're still letting off, on the bottom. So
yeah.
it's different, and you got to play with it. But if you're not willing to play with it, you're not going to figure it out.
Right. I know the best thing that he did was took that turn two wall away.
Yes,
That
yeah.
that thing was. I mean, I've ridden that thing and on the thing on the wall. That thing has ate up a lot of race cars. I thought that was a great idea to get rid of that feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking away the bottom walls. I mean, some people don't like it, but that
Yeah.
helps their pockets big time. Like
Yep.
you come cutting across, and everyone makes mistakes, whatever. That tears a car up pretty quick. Jersey barrier inside wall. That they
Yeah,
don't move. So
absolutely.
that gets expensive quick. And yeah, and then like that, the bottom lane definitely did come through. We had a race this year where I started in the rear, and Aiden kind of suggested to me, like, you're gonna have to dance with your feet on the bottom, but I suggest you try. And I did. I tucked right down in, and I listened to him. I danced with my feet, and I got up to fourth from 16th. And it just seemed, as everyone was winding these things up on the top, going crazy, I was kind of just creeping by them, mainly off mistakes. Mistakes they're making up top, running into each other.
Right.
But that seemed to work. And then it's an eye opener. Like, wow, maybe that's where a lot of success is coming from. Like.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You want to pass them, you got to go where they're not. And most of the
Yeah.
time, those guys are getting into that corner and they're cranked sideways. They're losing a lot of momentum up there anyway. So,
Yeah, it's
that's just it.
it's if they're not there, you're not going to run into them, and that's basically what it comes down to. So
That's
if you
right.
stay away from them, you get a lot of track position at Accord based off caution. So if you can
Right.
stay out of them, you're a lot better. Grandfather always told us to look 3 cars ahead, not 1 car ahead. You'll be a
That's
lot
right.
better.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem at Accord. It's past maybe 2 years. There's been a lot of carnage in that street stock division. It's been tough to watch, really.
I think that also goes up. We've had our car count's been growing, so I think that goes up with it. New drivers coming to Accord, so I think that guys still getting used to it, and it's a small track. It happens, but
Yeah.
definitely I think the all around the car count at Accord's gone up.
Oh yeah, no,
I don't
really.
remember ever seeing consies until last year on a normal Friday night. Consies for sportsmen's and modifieds.
Yeah,
And it
no,
happened a couple
it's
times last year.
yeah,
So I think there's a little bit of beating and banging going on, but that's to be expected with a small track, and it probably could get better. But
yeah.
definitely, I think it has to do with a larger car count as well.
All right, so
Initial starts are very unpredictable.
yeah,
You don't know what's going to happen there. Turn one can get a little fishy sometimes.
no doubt, no doubt. So I just want to I want to get your input on something else. It's always my topic is the rules, rule changes and stuff like that. I just want to get your input. Apparently, there's going to be a street stock rules meeting coming up. I'd just like to know what you guys would like to see change or maybe taken away, if anything, in that class.
You know, we're a tight budget team. You see our cars. There's no sponsors on the side, really. We take the help we can get,
Mm-hmm.
but we suggest the rules that they become a little bit cheaper, right? I mean, these were designed initially, right? They're street stocks. We want to keep them stocked, no doubt. I'm not saying we should be throwing, the pro stock bodies on them. I'm not, definitely not. We should definitely keep them our Monte Carlos and our Camaros, but
Okay.
at the same time, I think we should run, stuff like the the Holly 2 barrels. We should be able to run them, to have to go buy a Rochester carburetor 2 barrel in the catalog is $450.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a Holly 2 barrel on Facebook Marketplace for $50.
Yeah.
That's the stuff. The Ford 9-inch can't be a floater. These rears they're tough to find. You see a floater
Yeah.
everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Like it's like the little things. I mean, another thing is we popped three crate motors already. We have 3 boat anchors sitting in the shop. It's kind of the one rule we kind of wonder about, and I think that's what we're going to discuss is, can we get them rebuilt? Because you can run an open motor in street stocks. So
Right.
can we get our crate rebuilt? Right? I mean, I guess it's the same as an open motor at that point.
At
It's a
that point.
it's a crate motor, but I mean, I understand they're sealed crates, but I guess they're all open. You know what I mean? In a way, I mean, if you're allowed to run an open motor, I guess that's considered an open motor. Then, if you crack that open, so I don't see what the issue is with that. So I just think for us, it's definitely about making it as affordable as possible, and it's fun,
Yeah.
and less about the money. I don't want to be going and buying crazy stuff. The Rochester carburetor, that's expensive. That is expensive compared to a $50 carburetor you could buy on Marketplace, and I think that's like a big one. That's like the little things that need to be addressed. Open that rule up. We have 5 of those carburetors in the garage, and
Well,
that would help out a lot.
well, you were allowed to run the 500 this year, right? You could buy the jet
Yeah, you can buy
carburetor
the
from the book.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think where it kind of gets hard is we're trying to be an affordability class, but we're looking at it from the catalog when I know a lot of our drivers are going off Marketplace,
Right.
and there's a big price difference there and what's available on there. And I know guys have, for a while the floaters were legal at Accord, and that's what a lot of the guys ran because it's a better setup, not really performance advantage, but just an easier setup. So I think, and I know I talked to one guy, he's got 5 of them laying in his garage that are useless right now. And in my head, making a guy go out and buy another $1,000 rear is not an affordable thing. And
Yeah, but,
they brought up
well,
about my roof and the angle,
yeah.
and that they can't be, and that had to be a stock steel roof. It's hard to find. These cars aren't in the junkyard anymore. We have to
Right.
be able to go and get, these new roofs, or got a little more leeway, a
Yeah.
little more breathing room.
Yeah, ultimately that's what it comes down to, availability. 100%.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, like, you think about it, street stock race, because we're a family, like, you see a lot of street stock drivers. It's not like the modified and sportsman guys where they don't really help each other out. We help each other out quite a bit. You're going to see
Absolutely.
Walt Henry go out of his car and go help somebody, and that's just the
Yeah.
way it is. So it just makes you think, if we all have all these carburetors, we could all help each other out and make it fun and affordable, maybe you get some guys, and if a guy wants to come try Accord but has to buy a $450 carburetor just to run there, maybe he's not going to do it now, like that's a lot of money, so
I get it.
but
So,
yeah.
so I guess the state of the division, as a whole. So after all that said, um, do you feel like the current street stock rules are in a good place the way they are, though? I mean, overall, you think that
yeah, yeah.
we're
They're
in
in
a nice way?
if nothing were to change, I would be all right. It wouldn't
Yeah.
upset me, but I would not like to see the rules get stricter on the stock stuff. That's for
Right.
sure.
Okay.
It's just not really like doable anymore. Not like it used to be.
Right. Not like it used to be. Right.
Yeah.
And that's always the biggest topic, is always money, keeping the class affordable while still competitive, and I totally get that.
Mm.
But me personally, I've always said it, I feel the need of unified rules for street stocks. This is just me as an outsider. Not just at Accord, but all the tracks, you know what I mean? The Valley, Fonda, Albany, wherever they run street stocks. I guess what I'm saying is maybe a sanctioning body. Me personally,
Mm.
I like the IMCA. You know what I mean? It's run on everybody runs under that banner of IMCA. Then you know what you gotta have. Everybody runs under the same rules. Anybody can race at any racetrack. No worries about anything. You know what you got to do. What's your take on that? Running under a unified banner like that.
Yeah, that would be the thing
It
to
would
do.
be ideal, but right now, really, we're one of a few tracks that run these kind of rules, and a lot of tracks have run to a more
Yeah,
modern street stock.
right.
So I think it would, if we wanted to get the car count up, we would realistically have to move towards, getting a more modern rule book in place. But and we try to keep it as tight with Orange County as we can, our rules.
Yeah, and that's what gets me too. I think trying to keep it tight with Orange County at this point is far gone. Forget about it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Because who knows what they're even going to be? So we're
Mm.
trying to, and there's other. These guys want to go to. I mean, the Valley. Forget it. I think they've gotten lost in the weeds with their rules on street stocks. They're their own thing, but. I, to be able that's what always struck me is I could never bring my street stock to go run 5 Mile Point.
Mhm.
or back then. You can't just bring it to Fonda. You can't bring it to anywhere else because the Accord it's just different. You know what I mean?
Very constrictive.
Yeah, and even all they're more race cars to me. They're I
Mm.
get the affordability and stuff like that, but you just have to somewhere there has to be a common ground where something has to open up and allow for a little bit of change.
Mhm. And it is a slippery slope to start advancing the class and know when to put the brakes on,
Yeah,
because
right,
real quick we can turn into, we're all running late models here and nobody's happy
right.
anymore.
I get that. Yes,
So
absolutely.
I get where they're coming from. It is I applaud Emerson and all the other tech guys at Accord because I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. I know that,
Yeah, no,
So
You got a lot of different opinions on it, so that's what
right.
makes it very hard.
It's
Like
hard.
we have a drivers meeting, and you're gonna have five guys that say, "Yeah, let's go more modern," and then you're gonna have those old timers that say, "No,
The
let's leave
old
it the
guys.
same."
Right.
So it's tough. It is hard, and it's that fine line between, yeah, we need to open up, but yeah, we also want to be running pro stock chassis again. Like
Right.
it gets that point, and now the person can't afford a pro stock chassis, and we're going to be running one, and they're going to get smoked every week, and they're not going to like it, and now your car
Yep.
count's going to go down. Now those
Yeah.
guys are going to leave. So
Yep.
it is hard. You want to keep our cars, but make them more modern because these parts aren't realistic anymore.
That's
Like
right.
to go get
Yeah.
a stock Monte Carlo roof, that's hard. Like that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, we're gonna have to make one out of metal. Like that. Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. So
So they're not you're not so I know last year they allowed the aluminum bodies. So it still has to be a metal roof. They haven't changed the fact of going to that,
well, that's
or is
they're
that a
talking
topic of
about going.
discussion?
They're heading that. There's talks of heading that way to just allowing a metal roof, and it has to be a stock metal roof, steel roof.
can't be like our aluminum ones.
Well, they also make what is it? Fiberglass. Fiberglass
Fiberglass.
roofs are the very common aftermarket roof, and
So
really the only aftermarket roof.
okay, and you're allowed to
So
run that there or no?
we are,
You are
but
okay.
there's talks of that changing, which I would not like to hear. We gotta
Okay.
because the stock steel roofs are not easy to find at all.
I kind of just feel like that's like a silly thing to touch on. You know what I mean? Like, if we're trying gonna try to improve car counts, then I don't think roof is the thing to nitpick at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just named several ways to make this class more affordable, and maybe get a
Right.
couple more cars. And maybe that you're gonna have to make a lot of guys go buy a stock roof, and that's we looked and we found one guy has them for like 500 a piece. Like,
That ain't
yeah,
affordable. That's a lot.
that's a
That's
lot of money.
expensive. Yeah,
Like.
man. Yeah, to go punk that down on top of everything else.
Mhm.
And like we just talked about too, Eckler Speedway, it's not making a difference. Like that roof really is not making that much of a difference. Yeah, not for
Right.
us. We're not that aerodynamic or anything like that. I feel that's like you see people win with all types of cars in the street stock division, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look at Jaden's and look at mine and look at Aiden's. No, three of them don't look the
Same.
same. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So that's
Absolutely. What about racing tires? What do you guys feel about like
I
going
like the
back to?
DOTs.
Do you? You do?
Yeah, just because well, that ties into most tracks for the street stocks run DOTs.
Yeah.
Glen Ridge, all those tracks. So that's we're a step closer to being able to go and run
In
those
that
tracks
sense, okay, I
if
get
we
that.
if we'd like to. And I know a lot of guys liked the American Racer racing tires, and I understand why. It's a
Yeah, I just
good
think it
tire.
put on a better race for the street stocks. That's just my personal opinion. I think the racing was better when they went onto the DOTs at Accord. I mean, it's getting better. I think it took guys a learning curve, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
When they went over to the deal, I know it was for me when I went because I was on the American Racers and then went. It was a whole different feel underneath me.
hmm Yeah, that's I've talked to a couple guys, and they they would like it back, but also understand, you know.
Yeah, I get
But if
it.
that were to come back, if they did want to run the American Racers, I wouldn't feel really too upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's affordability there. It's not much of a difference.
Hmm.
I mean,
No.
I get, they last longer. The DOT tires, it seems like they go a long way.
Yeah, they do. If you can keep the cuts out of them, you can, run a season, 2 seasons on one
Yeah.
set of tires.
So, so I guess ultimately, where is the division still truly affordable right now for the average racer? The way it sits right now, do you think the street stocks are affordable,
It's
or you think it's getting out of control?
it's starting to get out of control, but that's not really like with rule change. You know what I mean? Like if we change
Sure.
our rules, it could easily be fixed like that. And that's just and it's getting expensive in the opposite way of most classes, right? Most classes are doing the bigger and better things every year, right? We're just so far behind that it's getting
Right.
expensive, like so if we literally just update our rules a little bit, yeah, we're good. We're very affordable. But right now, we're kind. I feel we're falling between like that fine line of like, it's not the cheapest racing, right? You can go find one of those midgets or a little sprint car or something for $10,000 race ready, and those are tough to
Yeah.
find for street stocks anymore. Like,
That's a
that's
fact. It is.
that's tough.
You see some of these guys selling these street stocks for over 10 grand
Yeah,
easily. And I think a lot of that is in the front end. That motor is
hmm
these things are built to the max anymore. And I
Yeah,
get it.
a lot of guys are not messing around with what's going on under the hood, and
Oh yeah, no doubt.
yeah.
So you guys run crate motors or you run open motors?
we run crates.
Great.
Try
Crates.
to.
Well, okay.
If we can get a crate for the right price, we'll definitely run one.
So that's pretty. That's impressive too. That you guys did what you did with the crate compared to a lot of them guys are all open motors up there, big ones at that.
Yeah, we run sealed crates. Nothing, it's nothing crazy. It's just your simple 602 crate. You're
Yeah,
probably your cheap one because I know you can buy a cheap one and an expensive one, right?
yeah,
But and we just like that just shows it's not about the horsepower at
yep.
Ford. It's not about that.
And that's what makes it unique. That's what makes it great.
Yeah,
That's what I like about it. You don't need the big horsepower to get
nah,
around and be
It's about
competitive.
it's
It's
all
great.
about what you can get down to the ground, really.
Yeah. I mean, hell, when I first started, I bought my car from my cousin. He ran a slant six against those guys with the V. He actually won like 3 championships. And that was my very first race car. I was 16 years old. It was a
yeah.
slant six motor. Ran that thing for a couple of years. That it's crazy. It just showed you right there, 6-cylinder beating up on these big 8-cylinder motors. It's pretty
Yeah,
wild. Thing
yeah,
went the way it did.
absolutely. Definitely one of the few places that you can make that happen. At
Oh
Ackord.
yeah. Oh yeah. You wouldn't be able to go nowhere else and do that. Hell no. So, I mean, hopefully, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of the meeting anyway. Hopefully, it's productive, for everyone involved there. Again, I got no skin in the game, so it doesn't really matter to me. I just comment as a fan of street stocks. That's where I came from, So I'd like to see the class stick around and grow. I don't want it to go away. I like it.
Yeah, I
So,
know. Last year our rule meeting was very, very productive, and we figured out just kind of where everybody stood, and as kind of came to a consensus on what our rules would be for last year, and what we would like to see change going into the future.
yep,
And I think you know a lot of the arguing over the rules stopped, and we kind of listened to each other, face to face in the same room,
yeah.
not over a Facebook discussion.
Facebook. Yeah, that's the
You
biggest
were
thing.
able to explain yourself. And I
Yeah,
felt like last year's rule meeting was very productive, and I hope this year's is just as
that's it.
productive, if not more.
Yeah, hopefully it does. All right,
yeah.
so good.
At the end of the day, too, it's up to the two big guys. Who's good. If they make rules, right, we gotta follow them. So,
That's it.
at this point too, make a rule book, and we're gonna have to follow it, right? As drivers, we got to follow it. If we don't like it, well, then that's too bad. Like, and so I think that's a big part too. Is we just got to come out with a good rule book and set in stone, so we know what we can and can't run, and not doing mid off season, you got to change stuff now because you don't know what the rule is. You know, like
Right. Or you open that son of a bitch up and you find that gray area. You know
yeah, right.
what I mean? So, all right, enough with the rule talk. Let's get back to real life, the real life side of racing. Every season it has stories. Good nights, bad nights, nights you never forget. And for you guys, and with that said, I would like to shift gears for a minute and talk about something more serious. Last season you guys went through something incredible. Tough as a family when you lost your grandmother in the middle of the season. Um, and I remember that weekend, you guys, even after going through something that heavy, you still made the decision to go racing that Friday night. And Aiden, you actually went out and won the feature that same night, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that was
For
that was
sure.
a heavy day, a heavy day. And I got home from work and I didn't think we were going racing. I didn't know if I like wanted to go, I just didn't feel like I was in the right place. But
Yeah.
I got home and talked to everybody and they said we're going. Like this is if she were here, she would be there. It wasn't she lived for it just like we did. And
Yeah. And that's what I was
so
going to ask you. Like, what went into to make that decision? That's a tough one, man. To just go there and then you win it. That's got to be awesome.
it was an unreal feeling. I can't even, really put it into words.
Absolutely.
It was something else. The storybook kind of deal.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, um, speaking of your grandmother, they have an award now for her, correct?
Yeah, yep.
So the trying to have a brain. So they at the Racers Reunion Hall of Fame, right? That's where
Yeah,
this
yep. Yep.
thing is going to be presented. Um, so I just want you guys to elaborate on that. So every year now they're going to present that. It's the Kim Demarest Memorial Ladies Legacy Award, right?
Yeah, we actually got it
So
right here.
okay, so as I say, a lot of fans might hear that award announced, but might not know the full story behind it. Maybe you guys can explain exactly what that award is, who it goes to, and what it means to your family to see her name honored like that every season.
Yeah, I mean, it's special, right? It's like, not every a part of the team you got to be wrenching on the car and doing that stuff.
Hmm.
It's the simple washing the race suits, packing the cooler, making sure everything's done, making sure our family seats are saved before everyone else gets there,
Hmm.
making sure we have food at the racetrack, all that stuff that goes into race day that people don't see. And, you know, she she did it all and she loved it. And she lived for it every Friday night. If you were getting married on a Friday night, well, that sucks because she's not going to be there. Like that was the bottom line. She had races to go to,
That's
and
awesome.
that's how she was. And you could rely on her pack cooler. You could rely on her sitting in the front row, right behind, right left of the flagger stand, and that's where she was every Friday night. And that's just you see. Becoming less and less of a just a man sport, like
Mhm.
a lot of women have a lot in the racing, you know what I mean? A lot of race wives, like
Right.
race moms, they don't get enough credit. I feel,
Yep.
they're the backbone, they're the ones keeping us in line and making sure everything gets done.
Oh, absolutely. So how is that award? So who carries that on? So that just goes to a random female through, that does the same particular thing as like that. So living on like what your grandma did.
Yeah, so this year's the 2025 honorees were Laura Laura Ricky and Fran Tyler, who, the Rickies and the Tylers,
Hmm.
they go back to the opening days and they've been there from the start and really probably haven't gotten the recognition they deserve for putting up with what they've put up with over the
Oh
years.
boy.
So we're hoping with this award that, more women who have poured their lives into it without all the glory, get
Okay.
recognized.
Okay, that's all. That's cool. That's good. Like I said, I just for people that don't know or hear, they understand what that is, and how it's perceived. That's cool. That's the legacy that lasts forever. I appreciate you guys touching on that. I'm sure it's still a tough conversation to have. So we'll get back to a lighter uh, subject here, and so I'm just gonna have a little brother debate here. Maybe you guys can settle that. It's just quick little questions. So, who's more aggressive? Just a couple quick questions.
Aggressive or out of control? Those are two different.
Yeah.
Okay, either one.
I when it comes out on the track, we are pretty.
Both.
We're both pretty aggressive. I don't know.
Yeah. Our grandfather told us you get there and you go. You
Yeah,
you don't wait around.
All right.
You get a good kind of good gonna come from waiting. So
we
Yeah.
both kind of have like the same perspective on it. So we're raised like the same way, and like I'm not a dirty racer, but I'm also not going to tolerate. I'm not scared to give you a shot if I have to. Like I'm not going to hesitate. And me and Aiden have done it to each other, so that's why I kind of feel like it's hard to pick a winner. Of
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
But
I guess the next one was competitive. I guess you're both the same. So who tears up the more shit?
oh, I do. Oh, geez,
Clearly, yeah.
that's not really that close.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
no, I can put that body on in my sleep. Yeah, I can
okay.
kill that. Yeah, that is when I tore a lot of things up, and and that's a part of Accord too. Like
Oh yeah.
that's every week you have to put your body panels on back to some sort of way.
Yeah, you want to beat them out as best as you can, right?
Yeah, and you give up on the nice look pretty quick.
Oh
Like.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, going back to it, if I had to say who's more aggressive, that's going to be Aiden. Aiden throws some clean, aggressive moves. I remember a move last year. Me and Gary Ronk started the race, and Aiden starts third, and he just cowboy wheels right underneath us, slides up in front of us, and goes, and he wins the race. So I think that's that's lap one. That's the first turn, and he's gonna throw a move like that. Not a lot of guys will do that, and take off and run with it. So
Yep.
I think those are like clean, aggressive moves, and that's why he has success.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. It's the last lap going down the back straightaway into turn 4. Who's more likely to just send it for the win, you or him? I guess it would be him, right?
I don't know.
No.
If I'm in second and if it's a 50-50 shot, win or wreck, I'm probably just gonna take the second, especially
Yeah.
after last year, consistency
Okay.
not being there for me. I think Preston would be more willing to
I'd wreck him.
Okay. At least you're honest with it anyway.
I would give him. I don't know if I'd wreck him. I'd give him a good shot. I'll go door to door with him in the turn. That's for sure.
All right. So we're doing a little quick rapid fire section too. Quick, easy questions here. You're racing top or bottom groove?
Top.
Top.
Now, win a feature or win a championship? Where do you guys stand on that?
Championship. Yeah.
A lot of guys don't. They don't like points racing. It says gets in. What about a slide job or a clean pass?
Slide job.
I like a clean pass. I'll go first.
This one. So you're out there on the track. That one competitor car number that makes you cringe when you start next to you or you roll up on them on the track.
10.
10?
Yeah.
10. I'm thinking.
Oh, there's
rapid fire. Come on.
Yeah.
Probably 5 makes me cringe pretty goddamn bad.
Man, I mean, I was thinking a few others, but all right.
Oh yeah, it ain't a slide. Yeah, it ain't a landslide. That's for sure. I got a couple of them.
We'll keep it nice. I know you guys still got to race against these guys. We'll keep it honest. So, who's your favorite driver of all time? Any class, any division, anything. Who's your favorite driver?
Probably my Uncle Dave.
Yeah. You too?
I'm probably gonna go with Honestly, yeah, David too. And I say that from the bottom of my heart because without David, that makes things tough. He kind of held our hands through our first couple of years, and watching someone win makes it more motivating to go back. Watching David is capable of doing it every week at Accord, and it was cool to be a part of that. And feel wins and Bethel too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won a
I hated
championship
when he
that first
came.
year.
Just my personal opinion.
What's up?
I said I hated when he showed up. That was just me.
Yeah, and that he really helped us out a lot, and
No, he's
then
good. I
I loved
like
watching
David.
David race. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I still believe in a full fender car. He's one of the smoothest.
Ah,
He can dial it in there. That's for sure.
yeah. Have you guys ever tried the asphalt at Bethel? I know he did. Have you guys ever tried
Yeah,
that?
we ran the season he ran there. We both ran there.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, when he won the championship, I was rookie of the year in the pro stock.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, I was on Prestige towing truck quite a bit.
Oh. Now that place was a tough place to figure out.
That is not easy. Bethel is
Ah,
weird. That's tough.
that is tough, man. That is hard stuff. And the guys that figure that out, that it takes you almost have to do it all the time. That's
Yeah.
tough. That is a tough joint. It's a shame that they're still closed up. I thought it was a cool place. I used to
Yeah,
enjoy
I
going to watch.
definitely different. There's really not many tracks you're gonna find around. To really find asphalt, you got to go from where we are. A good 3 hours
Oh
plus.
yeah, oh yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
this was pretty much in our backyard or second closest track.
oh yeah. It was cool. It was cool, the uniqueness of it. I just don't think they were able to get, being in dirt country. A lot of these dirt
Yeah.
guys just wasn't willing to make that change or even try it.
Yeah, it's a drastic change. It's hours of work. Go
Oh
from
yeah,
Friday night, get up early Saturday morning, work on the car all day, put it on the trailer,
yeah,
and head off. It's a lot.
yeah. That's a whole different thing. So
And
so, guys,
a lot of their guys too. You see they're Rhode Island, Long Island guys. So
yeah,
that's tough to consistently bring those guys up. That's not easy, and
yeah,
that's what makes it tough. You're. I mean, I think besides like guys like Kyle Welsh and Eddie Butler and those guys, like there's not many local drivers there. I mean, a lot of them are Long Island, Rhode Island guys. And that's where it's
yeah,
popular.
yeah. That's the thing. A lot of them Long Island guys get tired of getting, down at Riverhead, so they try to come up here.
Yeah,
It's But yeah, it's different. It's cool. And again, Connecticut. You're right though. A lot of guys, not many local guys coming in.
Mhm.
So as we get close to wrapping up here, what is your goals for this upcoming season? What's your plans?
Uh, I'm really not sure what my plan is this year. I'm working on a sportsman right now, so
Oh,
might
okay.
make the jump to that for this year.
You'll
Not quite
regret
sure
it.
yet, though. We got about
You'll hate
85
it.
days, I think, to
You'll
go.
hate it. You're gonna wish you were back in that street stock
No,
second weekend.
I'll miss it real quick, but I'm gonna go
Oh
give it a
yeah,
shot. I think.
that was probably one of the dumbest decisions I've ever made, was moving up to sportsman. But I couldn't. Oh, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
already seeing it's harsher on the wallet.
oh
Even
yeah,
looking
oh
up
yeah.
there,
You better
like,
go
so-
out and find some really, really deep pockets and sponsors, man. It's tough.
I mean, I think for me as of now, I think I think he seems like he's going to go through with the sportsman thing and at least try it, and I think that's going to throw me in Aiden's car for this year.
At least you'll have two to wreck.
Yeah, and then I think our little brother is going to step into mine here and there. And
Okay.
he's 14 years old. That's when me and Aiden started. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
so it seems like once he's done with his sports for school and stuff, and that's when he'll start trying it out, But we'll see. Things change by the minute here, and
Oh yeah.
we just try to put it all together and go have fun.
Yeah. Okay. So before we go, I want to give you both a chance, to thank people who make this possible for you guys. If you got any shout outs you want to give, I mean, I know a lot of it comes from your back hip pockets, but
We got to thank our parents. They've always supported us. We live at home with them, and they're fine with us spending all this money and time on these cars. And our grandparents, they've always, been some of our biggest supporters. Grandfather will spend hours in the shop without us even there sometimes to make sure our cars are ready. Our great grandparents have always been super supportive, and Tom Pinkers has always been a huge help with 209 storage units.
And yeah, I definitely think like our family, that's a huge one. Yeah, and like Aiden just mentioned, Tom's always there for us. We've popped motors in the past, and he's helped us out and stuff like that. And it's one big family. It really ends up being, and you need that in racing as much as you think you can make it on your own. Um, it's, we gotta give credit for me and Aiden to the girls a part of it. They Tiffany and Jimmy and JP and Celia, they're like our other family. They're over here eating dinner before race night, talking about how it's all gonna go out. Like
Yeah.
my mom, she's on top of it. She's getting our batteries for our radios, the stuff that you never do, right? Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
and so it's and then making sure there's food. My girlfriend Kendall very supportive, and Tiffany and my mom, they just kill it.
Our
And
buddy Matt's there every
yeah,
week, drop everything to be there Friday night, and thank
Yeah.
him for that.
Yeah, it's that they're the supporting cast of nobody, especially the girlfriends and wives. They're the ones that deal with it. Long nights in the garage and the aggravations and the stresses and not eating dinners and stuff. I know, I get it.
and honestly, a big one is my uncle David. He's not here anymore. He's over in North Carolina, but you get out of the car after a tough race, and honestly, David's the guy to talk to. David is the guy to say, well, like he's gonna call it how it is. He's gonna say, well,
Mhm.
you're running in too hard, or you need to let off earlier, or he's gonna say you're looking good. Maybe you're just off tonight.
Yeah,
You're doing the best you can. But David, he's been behind the wheel a lot at Accord Speedway behind a full fender car, so
yeah,
he's a good person to talk to. He knows what we're feeling. So.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good to have someone like that in your pocket. Again, either to tell you straight or tell you how it is. Sometimes you need to hear that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
even
as
if you
much
don't
as you
want
want
to. That's right. Sometimes you don't want to hear that, but it's good to have that. So yeah, man, I just want huge thanks to you guys, coming on tonight and helping us bring the Happy Hour podcast back on. It's been a while for us. It's a
Thank
good
you. It was
show.
awesome.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really cool. We
Really
really
fun time.
appreciate
appreciate
it,
it.
man. I said it's been fun, man, and good luck to you guys. I'll be up at court. I'll see you guys up there.
We'll see you there.
Hopefully, great season this year, man. Take.
Fingers crossed.
That's it.
All right, guys. Have a good night, man.
Have a
Yes,
good
you
one.
too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
So that's it. Thank those guys for coming on. Give the fans a good behind the scenes look at what goes on, especially in the street stock division. Um, so with the season coming up around the corner, make sure you get out to the Accord Speedway. Gary Palmer and his crew does amazing work up there. They're always trying to make that place better. Um, so get out there and support the Speedway, support these guys, the whole street stock division, every division for that matter. So until next time, support your local tracks, support your local racers, and of course, support those that support racers by patronizing their business. And we'll see you at the races real soon. Have a good night.